Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back to the show. We are joined by my divorce diva, and she can be yours. Go to mydivorcediva.com. Liesel Darby joining us. Excited to have her here as a certified divorce coach from Crown Coaching, and really just a compassionate, well-versed, super knowledgeable person who's here to help you with mediating, working with your attorneys, and helping you on that next step, that next journey, because it will happen. And she's going to bring out the best in you and guide you along the path. And you're going to thank the Lord, whoever it is above you believe in, for bringing the two of you together. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm well, but it's true. You got this energy about you. We've gotten to know each other a few times here, and just you got it. And you've walked the walk, you talk the talk, and you hold that person's hand through this. So it's exciting that you're back because your goal is to help people, and you truly are passionate about this job. It's not a job you just took because you need a job. It's one that you believe in, you're passionate about, and of course, we're seeing results in your clients. So let me have you, first off by saying hello and introducing yourself a little bit, and then we'll get started in talking about our topics today. Fairness, that whole F word in divorce we're going to talk about.
Yes. Well, thanks so much. Yes, Liesel Darby with Crown Coaching. I am a certified divorce coach, and I specialize in helping to keep the conflict to a minimum and helping you learn how to engage in it productively so that you're not afraid of it and you can use it to get what you need as you go
Hmm.
through the divorce process. So I've been doing this for a while. I was married for 25 years, and then I got divorced very out of the blue. Although, of course, there's always telltale signs looking backwards, but I really did feel like it just came out of the blue. And my mission is to help as many people get through this process with as much joy and dignity as they can.
Aw, well, thank you so much. And we're excited you're back with us. Want people to be able to reach out to you. And I know I shared the website. I'll say it again, mydivorcediva.com. Any other way you want people to reach out to you before we continue?
That's the main way. My phone number and my email address is on the website. So I think it's just easier to think of mydivorcediva.com. That's an easy way to get to Crown Coaching, and all my stuff is there.
Great. Well, thank you. So let's talk about this F word. Fairness.
Yes.
So there's no such thing as fairness in divorce. I know you're a believer in that. Let's talk about that. Explain it to us.
Yeah. So thought, you know what? The F word, right? We
I
always got our
know.
mouth washed out with soap for that one.
Mm-hmm.
And just like that can happen if you say fudge, although I didn't say fudge,
Mm-hmm.
if you say the word fairness in divorce, it's gonna leave a bitter taste in your mouth, just like soap would. Um, and there's a couple of reasons for that. I remember when I, found out that was going to be happening to me, there was nothing about it that was fair.
Yeah.
I had been a devoted partner for 25 years. We'd been together since I
Mm-hmm.
was a teenager. Um, I had given up my career to not I didn't give up my career, but I had to follow his career. I was the trailing spouse, so I never got
Mm-hmm.
a chance to really put down roots in one company and grow. I was always the one having to start over. Um, we were always having to move to, find a new house, put roots in a new community. We didn't know how long that was going to be. I remember one year we moved 3 times in 10 months. That did not seem fair. Um, and then I remember when this was just coming to me today. I was thinking about it when we were divvying up our stuff.
Uh,
He decided that he wanted our bedroom suite, right? The king bed, the both of the dressers on either side of the beds. He wanted, his tall dresser and my dresser, which had this little secret compartment that you pulled out that you could hide your jewelry in. And I'd
uh-huh.
always loved that. And I was just thinking, oh my God, it's just not fair that this other woman is gonna get my dresser. I mean, this is a small thing, right? But kind
But
of
to
not.
you, it's no, go ahead. To each his own. Please, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, but I just thought that there's nothing about this is fair. And then I remember also him trying to say, well, we're all going through this. I said, oh, really? Do you have somebody that you get to sleep with at night? Oh, you do? I don't. Do you have somebody to eat meals with? Oh, you do? I don't.
Ugh,
Do you have a job? You do? Oh, I don't.
ugh,
It was nothing about this was fair. But
no.
that's what I started thinking about is one of the reasons why we get all kind of tied up in knots about this is because there's not really such a thing as fairness when you're in this. And especially if you start comparing what maybe somebody else's settlement looks like
Mm-hmm.
when you're thinking about what you want yours to look like,
Yeah.
there might not be anything fair about it.
Yeah.
And I always caution my clients, don't compare. Because let's say your best friend, she got to stay in the house and she gets, $10,000 a month and, child support and spousal support and all this stuff. And you think, okay, well, I'm going to get the house too.
Yeah.
And then when you're looking at the numbers, it's like, oh, that's not going to work for me.
Yeah.
I guess it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And you might it's really easy to fall into this thing of like, well, that's not fair. Why does she get two and I don't?
Yeah.
We always talk about though, you don't know what she had to give up in her settlement to be able to keep the house. You don't know how much her husband makes. You
Sure.
don't
Correct.
know,
Yeah.
that she's not getting any,
Uh-huh.
all any retirement funds. You don't know.
Yeah.
There's so much that you don't know. So you just really can't compare. That's one of the things
Yeah.
I really wanted to point out. Um, Another thing is you can have all kinds of big feelings. I talk about this a lot, the big feelings that accompany divorce. And a lot of people think, especially if they're going to go to trial, they want their day in front of a judge and they're going to
Yeah.
tell their story and they are going to get justice and they're going to get revenge and they're going to
Mm-hmm.
teach their ex a lesson.
Yep.
I'm
Oh,
just, I'm like, no, that's not
no.
going to happen.
Not a, yep.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's not about that. You might get 10 minutes to say something, but a judge doesn't care about, the fact that your ex cheated on you or you don't get the house.
And
If
it's
they don't
so
care.
sad, right? Because you're so passionate and hurt and you want somebody to hear you. And even your attorney's not going to be the one to listen to that stuff. A divorce coach, though, I feel like you're more of a friend. You're more of you can let that out, right? To talk to you. It may not change things in the
Yeah,
end, but you have the patience for that and you're not charging them by the minute, right?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a totally different experience to work with a divorce coach. And I always need to hammer this in. People think it's just an extra expense. Why would I do that? I'm telling you, the amount you spend on a divorce coach, we're going to save you at least that much money off the total of your divorce bill because a judge, or I'm sorry, your attorney is not equipped to handle your emotions. They're not trained and they don't want to be honest. They want to do their lawyer stuff. That's what their expertise is. And usually the skill sets, this is a general statement, but the skill sets of an attorney tend to be different from somebody like me who I have a therapist background. I'm a life coach. I do this. I'm very adept at handling people's emotions and helping them to do that. And attorneys are very much more, this is the law. That's their expertise. I don't know anything. Well, I don't know anything. I'm not an attorney, so I don't go into that side I don't go into their lane. And they really don't want to come into mine. The other thing is they'll let you talk about that, but they're going to charge you a lot more. That's how they bill. That's how they make their money too. So it's not
Wow.
that I'm free, but I'm less expensive than an attorney. And I can help you get your emotions under control so that when you're dealing with your attorney, you can be very efficient and you can be very effective and you can use that time that you are spending with them in the most productive way so that you get your needs met and you're not going to end up with a ginormous bill at the end of it.
Wow. All right. Well, thank you for that. And, basically, there's negotiations, there are proposals, there's all these things that you can help with and really help you decide what's most important to you, right? And what's in the best interest for the kids, you know? But please, I would love
Yeah.
to hear, more on this, Liesel. Thank you.
Yeah, so working with me, my clients, we always, if there's kids involved, I always try to keep the focus on what's in the best interest of the kids. When you are going into negotiations, whether that's in mediation or whether that's with an attorney, if you try to keep your big feelings out of this and focus on what's in the best interest of your kids so that you're not making decisions that you might later regret. So one of the things I do is I help people identify, well, what is most important to you? What are your values? What are your core values? And once you have that kind of defined, you can always go back to that when they're, on the verge of making these other kinds of decisions out of, they're so angry or they're so hurt or there's a lot of fear. I can bring them back to, okay, does this align with what you say is important to you? Right? So we use it as a touch point and a grounding point so that you're not making any decisions that you're later going to really regret. And it doesn't mean you give away the bank, right? You're not giving away the farm, anything like that. We still want it to be fair. We still want it to be, oh, I said the F word. We, we still want you to walk away from this feeling like it's something you can live with, but it might not be everybody's idea of what is fair. When you go into mediation, you have a lot more control over what kind of agreements you're going to make. If you go in front of a judge, you do not. They're just going to go strictly by what the law says, and that you might not feel quite so good about what that happens in that arena. But anyway, I just really want to help people figure out. So instead of it goes back to comparing to what you see going around you, especially if your friends or family members have gone through divorce and what kind of settlements they've ended up with. Try not to compare because you don't know. So it again comes back to what's most important to you. Let's focus on that and see what kind of deals you can make that are in alignment with what's most important to you. You're not going to get everything, but
Of
you can
course
get
not.
some.
Of course. But let me ask now, you've been doing this for how many years professionally? I mean, I know you've always been
Uh,
that people come to you to talk to you, but
it was after my divorce. I think I really put myself out there in like 2016. So it's been a while.
all right.
But most recently with the alternative dispute resolution certification, that's been recent. But it's added a layer of depth and also some structure that I think has been very much needed and very appreciated.
Well, I love the fact that you have this drive that you're helping people. And let me just ask, normally, how long does the process take? I mean, you hear horror stories that it takes years to get a divorce. Is it true with a mediator, coach like yourself, you really can get things done a little bit quicker? I mean, the benefit of everyone involved. Or is it
Yeah.
really up to the courts? Or can you handle it out of court in a sense and do it this way?
So the advice is always stay out of court if at all possible. So I always say try mediation first. First and foremost, try mediation because even if you get some agreements made, you might not get everything, but if you can even get some, that's better than nothing. And then if whatever you can't agree on, if you need to take that in front of a judge so they'll make a decision because you just can't, you're both so just, it is what it is. You can do that too, and it'll still save you a bunch of money. So anytime you can avoid court, please do that. There are some situations though where mediation is not appropriate. And that in those, then I always say you can try it, but probably you're still going to end up needing your lawyers to deal with another person's lawyer for you. And that's if there's any kind of really big power imbalance, if there's like abuse, if you're in a very abusive uh, relationship, marriage, you might not feel like you can stand up for yourself and advocate for yourself. So you might need a lawyer to be doing that for you. Also, if you're dealing with a certain personality type, we won't, I'm not, I'm not making any diagnoses, but we can all probably
Okay, I
take
get
a
it. I get
stab
it.
at it. Um, some are very difficult to deal with, and because of the level of manipulation and gaslighting and some of these people, they are out, they want to destroy you. It's not enough that they, get some stuff out of it. A lot of times it's like they have to win, which means you have to lose and not just
Yeah.
lose, but be destroyed. So
Yeah.
there are some certain sectors that please let a lawyer speak on your behalf because it's dangerous for you to kind of get into that. But but that's not the majority of people getting divorced. It's part
Wow.
of it, But even still, we've kind of come a long way because it used to be anytime if you were dealing with that kind of person, automatically mediation wasn't for you. But now we've kind of come around to at least try. You can
Yeah.
try. And if it
Yeah.
doesn't work, then know that you can walk away and there's another avenue to get what you need.
Wow. Well, thank you for that. Okay, we still have plenty more to talk about.
Yeah.
Sorry, we digress, but it's part of the conversational aspect of what we do, Liesel Darby, uh, my divorce coach, I should say, mydivorcediva.com. And she is, well, she could be my divorce coach if I ever get married one day and then get divorced, but I would use you. But really,
There's a lot of time involved in that.
see, I know. And by the way, she's based out of North Royalton, Cleveland, Ohio area, just letting you know. And she's helping, women, she says, not only survive during and after divorce, but also thrive. In the meantime, we still have plenty more to get to on our notes section. What are we up to next?
So, I still want to talk about like how do you focus on you, right? So if the key is don't focus on what everybody else is getting out of their divorces, and what you think you're entitled to, let's still go back and ask yourself, and this is where a divorce coach can come in handy too. What is it that you most want? What is it that's most important to you? What hills are you willing to die on? And what ones are not worth it? Because when you're going into negotiations or you're making your proposals, you need to know what you're willing to give up and what you're not. And you also, it would be really good if you had some pieces that you were holding close to your chest as bargaining chips. Okay. So a lot of times you don't want to let the other person know right out the gate, like, this is what I want most of all if you're dealing with certain kinds of people, but hold that back, but have some things that you're willing to trade. Like, okay, well, I would like this. So in addition, I know this is really important to you, so you can have this. So it really is a give and take, and it really is a negotiation. It's a conversation that you're having when you're going through this process. The other thing is you can know your whys. This is really important. Everybody needs to do the work. So you can come into negotiation with your proposals, right? With what you want to propose. I'll give you this if I can have this, but know why you want something. Why is it important to you? And like a classic example is like a lot of times a mom will say, well, I want to stay in the house. And then you say, okay, well, tell me more about that. Tell me why that's so important to you. And they'll say, because I don't want to have to move the kids. They want to stay in the same school system. They want to be around their friends. And what it really comes down to is they're talking about stability, right? So sometimes, especially in this day and age where maybe they bought the marital home years and years ago and the interest rates were really low, like maybe, between 2 and 4%.
Remember
And
those?
now
Yeah.
these
Uh-huh.
days,
Like 6, 7, 8, right?
yeah, and they haven't figured out that, okay, if I get the house, that means I'm probably going to have to refinance if the other person's on the deed and on the loan, I'm going to have to refinance. And with a higher interest rate, that's going to really change what my minimum payment's going to be. Right. And so sometimes they come to the realization, like, I can't financially do this. Or if I do this, there's nothing left for anything else. The kids are not going to be able to be in their extracurriculars or their sports or anything, like, because everything is going to have to go to this house payment now. So you start having other conversations about, well, what else? So the main thing you're talking about is you want stability for your kids. How else can you provide stability for your kids? That doesn't necessarily mean staying in the house. And so then it opens up conversations. And I'm all about, you have to keep the conversation going. And as long as you can keep talking about something, you can come up with other solutions that might not look anything else like what you originally thought it was going to look like. Right. So I try to keep people from being very positional, like, this is what it's going to be. And I don't care what you say. I don't care what we have to do. This is what I'm going to do versus, well, let's see. Is that really true? Maybe there's something else we can look at.
It's funny because they're always, I'd like to say, alternatives in a sense, right? There's, things don't, the same cookie cutter copy and paste techniques don't work with everyone, right? And
Right.
that's also hard because you see, you hear, you speak to friends, you kind of sometimes compare your story to theirs, and you can't really do that. But yeah, it's hard. We've all been through situations. I've never been through a divorce, so I can't really empathize with the divorce as much as you can, and people listening out there. But trust me, I had my fair share with court cases dealing with custody with children. So I think it's kind of
Yeah.
similar. So yeah, but it is hard to compare to others and to really I hate this part where the family, the friends, and everyone takes sides. And it's like, how do you keep the noise out? How do you try to keep because everyone's interested in your business, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that instead of just saying, hey, I'm here if you need, everyone wants to comment, chime in, and it does weigh on you.
It does. And it can be really important at this time to set boundaries. And that's probably going to be another topic for us another day. It's a whole thing on boundaries. But you have to really be able to, it's about, it's not about keeping people out, but it's about protecting yourself. So you might have to be a little discerning about what you say to whom and who you're even going to allow to into that circle where you're even going to discuss anything. A lot of times people are they're just curious. You know, we've all met those people. They want to know, but it's not in your best interest why they want to know. It's because they just want to have the details and they want to go and talk about it. Those people you need to avoid at all costs. And a simple thing, okay, you can say something like, "Oh, thanks for your concern. I'm just not going to talk about that right now, but thank you." You can be very nice about it, right? Other people, you're going to have your besties that you want to talk with them about it. But just understand that they can only go so far with you, right? Because you got to talk about it. At least the people in my situation and my friends, when we were going through this, we needed to talk about it a lot, a lot until we were sick of it. And a lot of times your friends just don't have the bandwidth to do that. And it's not their fault. It's just the way that it is. Family members, kind of the same thing. And remember, these people love you and they want what's best for you, but also keep this in mind that they might become so in your corner that as you go into negotiations and you're trying to make, these deals, they might put pressure on you like, oh, don't you dare give him that. Don't you dare do that. He did this to you. Don't you? And it really can kind of, you might feel more boxed in, trying to now please other people who are in your corner and trying to give you their good advice, but it might not be good advice for you actually. So again, a divorce coach like me can be somebody who can help you kind of go through that, who can help you figure out what is in your best interest when you do go into negotiations, when you do start making proposals. And I'm a neutral third party. Uh, I'm on your side as a divorce coach, but I am still an objective person. I'm somebody you can bounce ideas off of. I can question you. I can help you test your theories, do some reality testing to see if do you think this is really going to work, or how do you think this is going to play out? And we can do all kinds of conversations around those kinds of things, as well as explore the other alternatives you might have besides going in and just being like, this is what I want. I'm not deviating from this.
Wow. Well, I also want to remind everyone if we do reach out, oh my gosh, we are almost out of time. This is
I
crazy.
was
We got to
having
talk more
fun.
gratitude. And okay, well, how do we want to close out for today? I'm so sorry. Thank you.
Oh, no, that's okay. No, I'm glad you said gratitude. That was on my list of what I wanted to talk about. So again, that's another way to kind of get you out of your headspace of feeling bad about, maybe my settlement's not what my friends is or what I really thought about it is. Gratitude just takes care of a multitude of feelings and all these icky things that you might be feeling, because you always have something. You always have people in your life who love you. Maybe you have pets, maybe you have kids that you love more than anything. um, maybe you can look at this as a new start. Maybe you can look at it as, what, I always wanted to look into this kind of a career and now's my chance. I always think there's always something to be grateful for. And if you can write down 3 things before you go to bed that you were grateful for that day, please do that because you'll sleep better. You'll put yourself in a better mood and you will start to find more things every day that you're grateful for so that this cloud of doom and gloom
Yeah.
shrinks down and you'll start to remember it'll rebalance like nothing. It's yeah, this is a big heavy thing I'm going through, but there's still plenty of good in my life. There's still plenty of beauty. There's still plenty of love. Um, and that can help you kind of mitigate all these icky feelings that you're going through.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that you're here and I just want to remind everyone they can reach out to you at any time. MyDivorceDiva.com. Also, you're mostly doing Zoom sessions, right? Do you do any in person at this point with Crown Coaching? Just curious.
If anybody wants to, if they're close enough,
Okay.
I don't have
Well,
any problem with that.
and you really help people also transition to getting back up on that bike, as you say, getting back out there, riding, doing whatever you can to help support people. And we love that about you. So thank you so much. Ask you guys to reach out, mydivorcediva.com. And how did you want to end off for today?
Um, Stay warm.
Yeah.
We're freezing up here in Ohio. Stay warm, stay positive. There's always something good there's always something good about your day, and just pay attention to that.
All right. Thank you so much. We will. My Divorce Diva, you have a fantastic day. Are we back again next week or the week
We
after?
are
I always get confused, right?
next
Awesome.
week.
I would love to if you have any clients that want to call in or come on the show with us, I would love to get their take. I don't know if they're too shy or some maybe like your best friends now, but bring them on. I would love to get more insight into your work and how you're, why you're wearing this crown because you're performing miracles along with the help of your clients. So thank you again.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.